All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you're joining us today. My name is Olatunji Ajani, and I'm the West African manager for Andy. I'm excited to have you all today. I can see some very known faces. Nelson, good to see you. Nelson Hamel, it's been a long time. Emmanuel, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Again, good afternoon, and welcome to one of our series of workshop that is funded by Act Foundation and Access Bank. And today's topic that we are going to be talking about today is one that is very important, and particularly because we are in the pandemic has changed a lot of things globally for everyone. We all are being forced to use technology in one way or the other, whether we like it or not. And secondly, this is a time that we all need to support our entrepreneurs more to raise fund better, to be able to get enough resource to execute their business plan or to achieve their objectives or mission of their social enterprise. And if there's anything that I've heard from people from different places is the on how the need for them to learn how to use alternative channels for raising fund. And that is why this unlocking early stage investment in emerging economies through crowdfunding sounds something that is very interesting to me. I know I've heard a lot of members trying to do it and they've struggled to do it and be able to achieve their targets. But we got in touch with Kiva, and we found out that Kiva, they've done an extremely good job in being able to raise funds through crowdfunding. They've done a very incredible job. And today we are going to be having them, one of the senior officials come to give us the breakdown of how are they able to do it, what are the challenges that they face, what do you need to do to be effective in using crowdfunding to raise funds for your entrepreneurs or for your organization. So it's going to be an exciting time for us. But as you're coming in, just so from housekeeping, please use the chat box to ask questions. That helps us to be able to keep track of the questions. And if you want to talk, you want to give a feedback in case Luke is asking a question, we want to make this interactive. So please, you have to be ready to talk. And if you don't talk, I know quite a number of people here. I'm going to call you out, so be ready. Because this has to be interactive, because it's virtual. And it's difficult to maintain eye contact with people and be able to track how well people are following. So please be ready to talk and unmute yourself when when the time comes. But if you're not talking, please put yourself on the mute your microphone. And then feel free to connect with participants. If you see people that you can recognize in the list of participants, you can just drop a note with them and connect with them. I'm trying to see what else. Yeah, so that is basically going to be in the housekeeping. But just to get us started, please go in the chat box. Let me be sure you are all here live. Please go in the chat box, type your name, type good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in your language, in your in your local language, and then the organization you represent. So your name, good morning or good afternoon in your local dialect, and then the name of the organization you are representing today. So please, let's get it started in the next 1-2 minutes. Then I will bring Luke on. So please, I'm waiting for you to meet you in the chat. Where are you coming in today? Where are you dialing in today? I'm waiting for you, so that I'm sure you are hearing me. Your name, good morning, your local language, and then the organization you represent. So mine will be Olatunji, Ekaro, and yeah. Thanks so much, Adeton, Ekason. Good to see you. Good to meet you. I'm from Pin, Ashwini Satno. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't call your name right. Capacity Development Expert, United Nations Development Program. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashwini. It's good to have you. Who else is there? Who else is doing a shout out? All right. Thank you, Anatu. Oh, great, Anatu. Good to see you. It's been a long time. Yeah, great, Mosaic. Good to see you, Anatu. Adewale Adenyika Ekason, yes, my brother, good to see you. Welcome. Edwin, welcome. Good to see you. Yes, Nelson. Yeah, I see you, my brother. Good to see you. Who else is there? Who else is there? Who else is saying hello? Maybe if you say hello, your chances of raising $1 million this week will increase. You know, I'm not his camera, but I'm just trying to get you to see your name. Yeah, Kaisna Musvino, good to see you from Zimbabwe. Wow, from Zimbabwe. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's really good. Thank you for joining us today. Um, yeah, Hefa, yes. Hefa, I love Hefa. Adam. Dominic, yes, my boss. Good to have you here today. Welcome. Yeah, Dominic is one of our steering committee members. It's good to have you. Thanks for all your hard work for supporting the chapter. Yes, we have 30 more seconds to go. Let's meet you. Who else is there? Areta, thank you. Good day. Thank you so much, Areta. Good to have you. Yes, from South Africa. Thank you. Oluwatoyin, yes, my brother. Good to see you again. It's been a long time. Yeah, welcome. Ekason, yes, I see you, my brother. All right, let's keep it going. If you're yet to introduce yourself in the chat room, please just drop it there. Like I said, it's good to have all of you. It's always awesome. I mean, I really look forward to the time we can all gather together again. I mean, have like those kind of happy hour, stay till like 2 a.m. But we have to manage what we have here in the virtual room. So please bring your best self. Like I said, please make sure you're ready to speak. I know all of you here now, as in, so if you're not speaking, be sure I'm gonna call you out. All right, so I'm gonna get out of your face now. I'm not the expert here to speak. I'm gonna hand it over to my friend and the expert in the house, Luke. Thank you again for joining us and for willingness to share with all the members of the West Africa. So please take it away from here, Luke, and let's have a wonderful session.
Great, thanks Olatunji, appreciate it. Hi everybody, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. So yeah, I see some familiar names on this list here, the participant list. I hope we can have a fruitful workshop where people feel free to participate. I will give you an overview of Kiva. I'll start by introducing myself, but then I'd like to give you an overview of Kiva and what we're doing at Kiva and what we've done for the better part of 15 years. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about the program that I manage, which is the Social Enterprise Direct Lending Program. So I am going to share my screen. I just wanted to start by showing the Kiva website. So I apologize about all my tabs on the top there, but I'll get to a presentation deck in a moment. So my name is Luke Seidl. I am the Senior Investment Manager for Small and Growing Businesses at Kiva. And I guess I came to Kiva almost 2 years ago. Prior to that, I had spent some time in more traditional financial services positions. I was in New York for 10 years working with a boutique kind of wealth management firm that focused on impact and focused on placing individuals and foundations capital in impactful investments, impact funds, and small businesses that were having an impact and where impact was embedded in the business model. So I think that's sort of where I cut my teeth, trying to understand this world that we operate in, where we're trying to move capital for more intentional purposes, and trying to meet several bottom lines, not only earning returns if that's what aligns with your expectations, but also having a social or environmental impact. So I'm sort of firmly, I think, working in and have for the past 10 years in the impact investing space. And so I came to Kiva with the desire to leverage crowdfunding. I was very interested in the idea of what we call I guess, retail investors. So investors like you and I who can contribute as little as $25 a day toward a societal purpose, a societal good that aligns with our values. So I loved Kiva and the model that they have operated. I think it's a really incredible way to leverage thousands of people who are looking to achieve the same purpose and the same goal. And Kiva enables that through its technology platform that we call the crowdfunding platform. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with crowdfunding, and we will dig into that a lot more. I had to show you this new Kiva.global website because it is recently launched, and the team that worked on it we're very proud of it. I mean, it's really turned out quite impressive. And if you have any questions that go unanswered during this session, I encourage you to visit Kiva.global. It can probably answer a lot more of your questions than I will be able to. So Kiva, what is Kiva in general? So founded in 2005, Kiva.org is really a digital marketplace. It's for peer-to-peer lending, otherwise known as crowdfunding. And the majority of the work we do is crowdfunding microloans to intermediary funders, microfinance institutions. So my colleagues who sit on the investments team with me, if I didn't mention, that's where I sit on the investments team. It's a team of about 30, 35 people distributed around the world. We have an office in Nairobi, we have an office in Bangkok, and we have an office in Bogota, Colombia. And then I'm in the US. Our headquarters is in San Francisco. But Kiva was founded in 2005, and the majority of my colleagues on the investments team are responsible for partnering with microfinance institutions. Now we count over 300 partners in that realm, and working with them to channel as much funding as possible, pooling capital together from thousands of lenders to the microfinance institutions who then deploy capital to their clients. So the vision, and I'm just going to present here my deck now. The vision is really is financial inclusion. That's the whole reason for Kiva existing. We are aiming for a more financially inclusive world where all people hold the power to improve their lives. And so then our mission is expanding financial access so that, folks who may not qualify for a traditional bank loan or have, for whatever reason, been excluded from the traditional financial services system, can achieve credit and can demonstrate their credit worthiness and take a loan from Kiva and from the microfinance institutions that we work with or the intermediary funders. So expanding financial access to help underserved communities thrive is the mission. We like to say we're the most visited microfinance website. I don't know if that's true or if anyone's really keeping track of that, but we do have quite a community of lenders. I believe we count about almost 4 million lenders that are visiting the website. And of course, we're providing debt funding to financial services providers that I mentioned, MFIs mostly. And to date, we've done about $1.5 billion US dollars, and funded in more than 70 countries. So that's a little bit about Kiva. I'm happy to answer any more of your questions about the organization as a whole. I will say it's a complex organization because we are a nonprofit, an international nonprofit headquartered in the United States. We also consider ourselves a fintech company, if you will. We're situated in the Bay Area, and I would say maybe half of the staff at Kiva are engineers, software engineers, technologists who are programming and building the platform, which is very tech heavy. And then we're also, a social enterprise. We have a social mission. We are finding ways to become sustainable in terms of revenue and balancing that with grant funding. So the nonprofit itself has a few different streams of revenue, grant funding being the majority of the funding or the revenue over the last 15 years, although we are striving to figure out different ways to become more self-sustaining. Happy to talk more about that as well. And so we have this kind of global mandate to do as much as we can to help small businesses, micro entrepreneurs, individuals and households, farmers. Agriculture is a big sector that we've operated in. And what I wanted to kind of pivot over to is the team that I sit on and manage at Kiva is a bit unique in that our mandate, our mission is to try and address the financing gap that we see in the missing middle. And if you read about and know about the missing middle, really what we're looking at is a
Look, you are muted.
Okay, can you hear me? Hopefully you didn't miss too much of that. So
We can hear you, go ahead.
great. So there's a huge subset, I would say, of small and medium-sized enterprises that we call social enterprises, or SGBs, as Andy refers to them, that are unable to qualify for an unsecured loan from the bank down the street or from the global financial system. They are probably too large or seeking capital that's in amounts that is too large for a microfinance institution, or for whatever reason that MFI doesn't have product that necessarily fits the need of a growing SGB, a scaling SGB. So out of that sort of recognition, Kiva decided, why don't we leverage the power of the crowd to finance early stage enterprises with a social mission, and fund them directly, and perform all of the underwriting, all of the due diligence in-house, wire the money directly to the enterprise, and conduct all of the ongoing monitoring, the risk assessment, the impact assessment. Let's see if the crowd will find that attractive. And maybe I'll describe a little bit about the crowd itself. At Kiva, the community of lenders that we have are, I believe, impact first, right? They are coming to kiva.org, lending as little as $25. Some of them are lending a little more. And their expectation on return is just preservation of capital, meaning they may lend $100. They hope to get $100 back into their accounts. so that they can lend more and use that money and sort of cycle that money to support entrepreneurs and support women and support refugees and all of the different profiles that Kiva is supporting. And so they don't have an expectation of multiplying their return at all. It's not necessarily market seeking return. I can talk a little bit about our repayment rate historically once we get into the details a little bit, but Kiva itself over 15 years has enjoyed I think 96% repayment rate on its loans. So 96 cents on the dollar for those lenders who are coming to kiva.org. That's what they can expect. And again, I think they're coming to Kiva as impact first lenders that have impact and social mission sort of front and center in their goals. So the social enterprise program, our mission, we have a mission that is aligned with Kiva as an organization, but really it's to validate and enable social enterprises to scale their innovative solutions so that they can serve the needs of the poor, the vulnerable, and financially excluded populations. So it's a mouthful, but what we're trying to do is really investor preparedness. A lot of the enterprises that come through our program are perhaps just beyond grant money or friends and family money. They do have a viable business that is post-revenue. So we're typically in this program seeking businesses with 2 or 3 years at least under their belts of operating and financial track record. So it's not seed money. I consider it more early stage capital, and it's short-term working capital. So what we're trying to do is solve any bottlenecks to growth that a company might have, any liquidity challenges that the entrepreneur and the enterprise are facing, and the terms of the loans, which I'll go into in a bit, is short term. It's less than 2 years, and again, it's really meant to kind of meet that financing need that an enterprise might have to go on and kind of scale, purchase inventory, whatever the use might be of the loan, so that they can attract other investment, whether it be larger sizes of debt or equity capital from other investors. We are definitely striving for companies that are financially excluded and that are disconnected from international funding networks. I think that's one thing we're working on, especially during COVID and beyond, is really trying to find the businesses that are having trouble raising capital, either because they are not in the right circles and the traditional banking system finds them too risky. So we want to be the most impact-friendly debt on a company's balance sheet. I'll talk a little bit more about our flexibility in terms of repayment schedules, our flexibility in terms of working with the business to understand their seasonality needs, and understanding just what it is that their capital can be most helpful for. So we work as close as possible with the business to understand these needs and then provide the debt to meet that need. So again, as I mentioned, the whole purpose is to catalyze follow-on investment. I think to date, we have measured for every dollar that Kiva Social Enterprise Program has provided, we've seen $7 in follow-on investment. And that's typically from impact investors that are investing at a larger ticket size. And sometimes it's international foundations that are also, or NGOs that are also managing impact investment funds. I'm going to pause after this slide, but just wanted to mention that the way we define social enterprises is a legal entity. You have to be legally registered, and then with a core business model that's intentionally generating positive social or environmental impact. And this is, I think this aligns with many impact investors out there. I think it was probably a definition that was that came from the Global Impact Investing Network, but it really is focused on that intentionality. So a social enterprise with impact is sort of embedded in their business model. They have products or services that are serving the needs of marginalized communities or low-income communities. That's typically what we're shooting for. And the product itself is zero interest. And I'll spend a minute here just describing how we've done that and what Kiva's view is on this. So again, the lenders themselves that come to the website are seeking sort of just preservation of capital. Kiva provides its capital zero interest. And in my program, what that means is every business that comes through the application process, they won't be charged an interest or an APR. We are doing fees. We recently introduced fees that are below market. We believe they're affordable, and we work with the business to understand what affordable means to them. And this is just a fee for accessing the crowdfunding platform. And this is, again, part of our effort to become more sustainable and less grant dependent. The ticket sizes are $20,000 to $100,000 for first-time borrowers. For enterprises that we have a new relationship with, they're eligible for up to $100K, and that's a US dollar loan. The repeat borrowers, those who come back after taking a first loan and are in good standing, they can qualify for up to $200K. Again, we're kind of shooting for investor readiness. We like to go through a due diligence process with the company to talk through different challenges they've had, understanding their business model, understanding their finances and their cash management, with the hope that we won't be the last investor to meet with them and to discuss these things and really to ask them questions that they're probably going to be asked down the road when they sit across the table from an equity investor, let's say. Geographically, we're operating in emerging markets for the most part. So this program itself is focused on every region outside the United States and outside of Europe. So typically Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, South and Southeast Asia are our three biggest markets. I might not spend as much time on the missing middle. I'm sure everyone on this call understands what I mean when I refer to the missing middle. Again, it's SGBs or SMEs that are unable to attract financing, either because they're too big or they're too small. Too small for banking and too big for microfinance. And I know that's a very simplified explanation of the missing middle, but the World Bank and the IMF and a number of other institutions have done quite a bit of research to understand the financing gap for SMEs and their importance. So I always find this statistic on the far top right that 4 out of 5 new jobs in emerging markets are going to be generated by SMEs, which is just such an important segment of the economy, and that's again what we're trying to sort of target here. So this slide is talking a little bit about impact money. So when we talk about financial exclusion, we know that traditional banks find small businesses too risky. They often quote them with unreasonable collateral or unreasonable interest rates. But also, we found that impact investing money is really flowing up market. So the GIN estimates that there's about $500 billion in impact investing assets under management. And what they also say is that those deal sizes, the ticket sizes for small businesses, let's say, are much larger than what we're targeting, and much larger than what we think is necessary to sort of grow a thriving social enterprise or SGB market. So they say, the average deal size is about 5 million. The average private debt deal is about 3 million, and the average international NGO is doing about 700,000, which is all fine. I think they're probably meeting a market need, but we believe that we can address the market at a much smaller ticket size for businesses that are earlier stage, that are less mature, and may not have years and years of traction and funding and consumer revenues and sales that would meet the needs of this sort of ticket size. I don't need to talk anymore about the SMEs and unlocking access to capital, but just to say that at Kiva, because we're deploying what we consider risk tolerant capital, that's sort of the reason we can go down market. So we believe it's risk tolerant because of what I discussed, where thousands of lenders are coming to the website and contributing about $25 or more. Between 25 and 200 is typically what an individual lender might contribute to a pool of capital. And because it's spread, the risk is spread across all of those lenders, it's a little bit more tolerant than your typical, I would say, impact investment fund. And that's all that slide was basically demonstrating. I talked a little bit about the two different models at Kiva, so we deploy capital through field partners, but also on the right-hand side is the direct to social enterprise program. And that's the program that I manage. So those are the two models, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that. Maybe I will just stop there and see if anybody has any questions and open the floor up, see how we can direct this conversation.
Yes, I've got a question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please go ahead, Fabi.
Oh, so Fabi, I'm using my wife's laptop. My name is Chifuni Lokanda from Malawi. Well, I work with an organization called Flame Tree Initiative that trains up social entrepreneurs. We have a pool of social entrepreneurs around right now, about 160 across our country. We train them, we make them investors ready. Now I want to find out how Kiva can work with an organization like ours, who reach out, who build the capacity of social enterprises. Is that possible? Is that in your strategic plan? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question, Fabi. Thank you. So that's exactly what we want to do. I haven't yet mentioned the non-financial support that we are looking to provide along with the capital that we're providing. And what we do is we will typically partner with organizations like yours and create a plan so that capital can be deployed along with that non-financial support. So we are constantly looking for local entrepreneurial support organizations or technical assistance providers that can offer that sort of business capacity building along with the capital. So I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about your approach and how we can work together with SGBs or SMEs that you're working with, and they can come through kind of the application process with Kiva, but also receive that non-financial support that you refer to. So I'll provide my contact information, of course, and hopefully we can take that offline and discuss.
Thank you. Any other question? If you have a question, please just unmute yourself.
I just have one quick question, which was actually on the previous slide, about the two different funding models, either through via partners or directly into organizations. And I'm asking from the perspective of being a professional in this space. The question is really how your diligence process varies between the two processes. So when you're investing via partners and investing directly.
That's a great question as well, Rumi. It does differ. And so our due diligence, when we engage a field partner or an impact fund, an MFI, an accelerator that is going to be an intermediary for the capital, Kiva has a 6-tier system where we deploy between $50K and up to $2 million credit lines to these field partners. And there's a lot that goes into understanding kind of how that credit line is managed by the field partner. I would say the main difference between that due diligence process and the social enterprise direct lending program is the field partner due diligence is much more intensive. There's a larger amount of capital at stake. And because it's a revolving credit line that is much larger, we do on-site visits, we do very heavy systems due diligence and operations due diligence to understand whether the field partner can manage a credit program, because they essentially will be responsible for managing the credit program, from deploying the capital and making the investments, doing the due diligence on the end borrower. So they're on lending through kiva.org. And that 6-tier system, again, starts, tier 1 is just $50K credit line, and it goes up to tier 6 with $2 million. We have developed these partnerships over many years, and I will say that with field partners, the due diligence process is a lot more intensive. With the social enterprise program, we are trying to be as light touch and as lean in our due diligence as possible. I will say I can talk more about the timeline of what the due diligence process is in the social enterprise program. It typically takes about, I would say 2 to 3 months from beginning of the relationship to the deployment of capital. And what we like to do, especially now during COVID, is 1 or 2 conversations with the entrepreneur. We have them fill out an application form and a tool that allows them to complete their financial history, provide balance sheet and income statement. Doesn't have to be audited financials, but we do ask for a sort of a complete financial picture. We assess the company with an impact scorecard that's been developed internally at Kiva. We have an impact team that assesses the business on impact. And then there's a sort of an investment committee that is determined depending on the region. So we have a Latin America, Caribbean investment committee dedicated to Sub-Saharan Africa, the MENA region, South and Southeast Asia. And so typically the investment manager will structure the deal and lead the due diligence process and the underwriting. That will be submitted to a risk director and our chief investment officer, and that's sort of the investment committee level. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but that's just a little bit about the difference in the two models.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
My apologies. I just joined this chat a few minutes ago. I was at the hospital and I just got out, so I'm sure I pretty much missed the earlier, details. But just quickly, my startup, we ran a crowdfunding campaign 2 years ago, actually last year, on Indiegogo, and it was for a sports enterprise. I just want to find out how different is this from that of Indiegogo when it comes to crowdfunding. I'm pretty sure you might have covered that at the early stages, but please forgive me for this question again.
No worries. I hope, I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
I'm glad to hear you're out of the hospital. Sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, I'm not that familiar with Indiegogo and their model. I'm aware of Indiegogo and I know what they're doing. I guess I would say the main differentiator would be that lenders on the kiva.org website are impact oriented. They have a mission. No one is going to come to kiva.org without wanting to meet some sort of social value that they hold. And there's so many opportunities for them to address different global challenges on kiva.org, whether it be funding IDPs and refugees, funding women entrepreneurs, funding single moms. There's a variety of different verticals, impact verticals, if you will, with Kiva. And so I don't know that Indiegogo has that sort of mission, right? So unfortunately, I'm just not as familiar with Indiegogo. I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. So what I can actually do is probably get your details later on, and then shoot you a few stuff, and then we can probably take it from there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke.
Hi, Luke.
Hello.
Yes. So my name is Chong. I work with PIN Foundation, and I have a question. So I'm quite familiar with Kiva and as well as Indiegogo, but because you're targeting those who are financially excluded, I would like to find out what has been the success rate of repayment, because, social enterprises, somehow they're used to grants and, impact investments, but lending can be, a bit off the normal for them. So what has been the success rate of repayment of these loans? Just for me to, understand.
Yeah, so historically, prior to COVID, the social enterprise program that I manage has achieved an 88, we hovered around 86 to 88% repayment rate, which is incredibly impressive if you think about early stage small businesses, especially operating in disconnected networks, off-grid, rural, with rural consumers. I mean, an 88% repayment rate, and don't hold me to that because COVID has affected a lot, but for a little while there, we were close to 90%, and I was so proud. I mean, I didn't have as much to do with it because I am relatively new to Kiva, but we have definitely achieved total repayment, close to 90. I would say that would be our target in normal times. We will see how the dust settles when we can assess the effects of COVID I fully expect, and I think we all fully expect that that repayment rate will suffer. There is some delinquency in the portfolio, and typically that will happen when there is some regulatory or legal challenges in the country. One challenge we face is, as an international nonprofit headquartered in the US, is we are foreign direct investors. So one challenge we face is capital controls. You know, countries are, some regulatory frameworks are very keen on bringing in FDI, but make it challenging to get that money back out of the country and repaid to the lenders on the platform. I would say also that civil unrest, political unrest is a challenge. We've had some circumstances in Latin America where protests will disrupt a business and they have to shut down for a month, let's say, and they're not producing for a month. That can cause some delinquency, some delayed payments. Weather-related events, tropical storms are other areas where we see it can be some disruption in repayment. But overall, you know, what we're finding is that the entrepreneurs and their teams are managing the cash extremely well. Sometimes it's their first external capital that they've had to manage. And really a lot of the risk or the delinquency comes from just externalities, whether they be environmental or political or social externalities.
Okay, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to pass comment. I first of all want to congratulate Kiva on the great intervention they are making in the life of the financially excluded persons. And it's of interest to ask a few questions. One, how do you prevent default in repayments? You did mention you are achieving close to 90% success rates. What strategies have you been using? How do you prevent default in payments? Secondly, I like to know the number of enterprises that you have covered in Nigeria, for instance. You know, and thirdly, what qualifies a financially excluded person to access your loan? So what are the requirements? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Akeem. Yeah, so default, you know, I discussed a little bit about our delinquency and repayment rates. We try as hard as we can to avoid defaulted loans. And by that, I mean, we work with the enterprise to reschedule repayments if they can't be made on time. We're going to have to spend a lot of time on this in 2021 following the year we're having right now. But what we were really trying to do is, you know, Kiva is working outside of the financial system in a way. We're not reporting to credit bureaus or anything like that. So we work with the enterprise to understand their solvency, if there is a default event, or if there is an insolvency with the company and they're liquidating their inventory, liquidating their assets. We try to understand, you know, how that will affect repayments to our lenders, and the way we avoid it, I guess, is we try our best to take the prior steps in terms of risk assessment to understand what the risks are. And you know, there's a long list of risks when you are investing in early stage enterprises. they're, you know, I'm not even going to go through them, but I think understanding the management team, understanding the financial accounting is important, but also understanding the customer traction and the market share, the product that they're serving, and what the demand is prior to making the investment, and then working with the business to understand if they can reschedule or restructure the loan in the event that they lose traction in terms of sales, or if something happens with the business where repayment can't be met. So avoiding default is tricky. We have a very low default rate, and part of that is because we're risk tolerant because of the impact first lenders on the platform. Your second question was about Nigeria, I think.
Yeah, I was asking how many enterprises you've covered in Nigeria, and I think maybe after this question we can just cover your remaining presentation, and we can have another session of question and answer.
Sure, we're open for business in Nigeria, definitely. I would love to discuss any enterprises that you believe would qualify for the program, and I'm going to go over kind of the criteria in a minute. But we have worked specifically in this portfolio that I'm discussing, I believe with 3 or 4 Nigerian social enterprises, a couple in the renewable energy space and a couple that work in agriculture. Kiva has had a long relationship with Babangona. Perhaps you are familiar with Babangona, working in agriculture and with smallholder farmers. So it's absolutely a country that we have a footprint. I would say we would love to grow that footprint. So I'd love to discuss any opportunities that you're aware of, and then to qualify. So and then I'll get to this slide that I know you've all been looking at for a while here, but. The criteria is really, we are looking for about 3 years of operating experience. So the company should have 2 to 3 years of financial track record that they can submit and we can look at. We'd like to see more than 150,000 US in total revenue for the past 12 months, or total assets, whichever is larger. And the reason for this is we don't want to provide a loan that would create a situation of over indebtedness or over leverage. So we want to understand whether the asset size and the revenue size are 100K or 150K is typically what we're targeting. This is kind of soft criteria, but social impact has to be embedded in the business model. So your typical SMEs that are doing whatever light manufacturing, working in retail, working in hospitality, they may not qualify if they don't have kind of that impact lens. And then the other, I would say, hard criteria is the legal registration. So the company needs to be legally registered in the country that they're operating in. We're, I guess, legally registered. It can be in a country they're not operating in, almost like an offshore bank account. That's fine. But we do it on a case-by-case basis. So the criteria, again, is, we try to understand what the business is, what their model is, and then understand whether it's a fit for Kiva on a case-by-case basis. Those are sort of some of the criteria. I did want to mention this slide here. So we're sourcing pipeline from referrals, from a network that Kiva has developed over the years with international NGOs, with international impact investors, but hopefully also local accelerators, local investors, local entrepreneurs who can refer businesses to us. We have about 20 investment professionals at Kiva that are sort of spread around the world and in different regions, and they attend all the conferences that you all attend. And hopefully they meet you, they meet other entrepreneurs, they meet different types of stakeholders, and then can introduce us via this referral network. So I've thrown up here a few different, mostly impact investors. I saw Toyin from Acumen is on the call. Hey Toyin, great to see you, or great to have you here. And so Acumen as a partner, Mercy Corps, we've, Omidyar, and others that are providing capital and have portfolio companies, and they're probably providing different types of capital where they see a fit for Kiva, providing some of the working capital that I discussed. So it could be an equity investor, it could be a larger institutional debt provider, but they see a fit when we talk about Kiva and our kind of sub 200K working capital loans. So we try to be part of that capital stack. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks again. I just wanted to also cut in and just maybe make it a little bit more interactive.
Yeah.
I know quite a number of investors here, or in capacity development organizations, who they have their own social enterprise that they support, and they are probably looking at creating like a campaign, running like a crowdfunding campaign for them. You are very successful in getting people to come and donate on your website. And then I just wanted to know, are there best practices, tips that you can maybe share for some of these organizations who want to maybe start their own campaign or run their own crowdfunding for their enterprises? I hope that was clear, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What's funny is I would say the most important thing for running a successful crowdfunding campaign is the photograph. And the description of what the funds will be used for. So you have to really tell a story. And what we found is that the success rate on campaigns that have really incredible photography, showing who the end consumer is, showing what the product is, showing the environment they're working in. When you have really attractive photography, it catches the eye of the crowdfunder, and it's been really interesting because we've actually been able to kind of zero in on what makes a good photograph and what doesn't. And obviously the higher quality the photograph really helps. I mean, when you think about the age we live in and social media and photography and visual, I would say, stimulation, crowdfunding is not separate from that, and still benefits from the same sort of things that we all think of in terms of social media and technology. So a good photograph, a great description of what the funds are being used for. Maybe I will actually, I was going to show you a profile. So this is a profile of a recently funded social enterprise in Ghana, Meridia. Perhaps some of you are familiar. This loan funded, it was 200,000. You can see it was powered by over almost 5,500 lenders. But you can see their photography is fantastic. The description is really important for the lender coming to your site and understanding what the loan will be used for, what the problem is that they're trying to solve. So the way we kind of organize our description is, first paragraph is about what problem they're trying to solve, and then how this SGB is solving that issue. So that's a little bit about kind of creating an attractive profile is very important, I would say.
Thanks, Luke. Aditun has a question. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Okay, yes, so quick one. In line with Tunji's question,
hello.
Can you hear me very well?
Yes, Aditun, we can hear you. I don't know who else is trying to ask a question. Can you hold on, let Aditun ask a question, and then we'll come to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so in line with Olatunji's question, I just want to find out, because when you were presenting, you said initially you used to have zero interest rate, but there's a fee for accessing the platform. So if you were to come on board your platform, is there a fee attached to that, or is it, just going to be like a support or something?
So for small businesses and social enterprises, there is typically a fee. It's not always. We are charging a fee in jurisdictions that we are able to charge and feel as though it's affordable for the small business. But we work with the business on a case-by-case basis to understand whether they can absorb that fee, whether they're working in a market where the impact is so high that they're maybe not at a stage where we can charge a fee. So it's not always, but it really depends on the jurisdiction that they're operating in. And again, we try to make it so that the fee is affordable according to the finances of that business. When Kiva works with a field partner, this is an intermediary funder. It's the same situation. Our investment managers negotiate with the field partner to understand what's affordable, what is understanding what the average weighted cost of capital is in that country, and understand how Kiva as an impact lender can come in hopefully below market in terms of that fee. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if that addresses your question, but.
It does, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. One other question that I also want to ask is that there are quite a number of people who kind of doubt crowdfunding because there have been experiences of some crowdfunding platform not paying return to their investors. So I just wanted to know, do you have like a system of insurance? Do you have like, how do you ensure that you get the trust of the investors that are putting in the money on the platform?
Yeah, creating that trust is I think probably the key to any crowdfunding platform. Kiva did quite a bit of work early on in the first 10 years of its existence to enable that trust via repayments. And I would say that in the social enterprise program, because we're working with small businesses and SGBs or early stage startups, we don't take collateral. There are no collateral requirements, but one thing we do sort of ask for is reputation as collateral. So if you're a small business operating in any of the regions we're in, we hope that you have sort of an online presence. And it's not perfect, but understanding whether you are visible online in terms of Facebook or Twitter, or having other types of an online presence really kind of gives us some comfort in terms of the reputational capital. So one, we're not going to, if you're unable to pay, or if you completely disappear from us and we never hear from you again after taking the capital, we'd like to have some protection in terms of being able to be in touch with you. And that online presence kind of enables that, if that makes sense. So that is, again, a nice to have. It's not always possible, but that is just kind of that reputational collateral is something that we think of as important to developing and building that trust. We also ask that the entrepreneur or the entrepreneur's team give us kind of monthly updates via our backend systems. They are asked to post journal entries, which is distributed to all of the lenders to that loan, and hopefully on a monthly basis, if not a quarterly basis, provide updates on the business and be directly in touch with the enterprise, between the enterprise and the lenders. And that itself develops, I think, a relationship and a rapport between lenders and the entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you for that. One other question I wanted to ask: if you have any question, please raise your hand, and I would get the attention, or just mute your microphone and call my attention. One question I also wanted to ask is, how long does it take you averagely to do due diligence on the social enterprise that approach? I know due diligence for traditional investor takes a long time. So I want to know, how long does it take you averagely to do due diligence on a typical social enterprise reaching out to you?
Yeah, I like to say that it takes between 2 and 3 months, but it can take longer because it does depend on the volume of requests that we have at any given time. During COVID, we saw a significant increase in the volume of requests, which has slowed down our process, to be quite honest. It's a fairly manual due diligence process. We are not tapping alternative data. We don't have super high-tech algorithms that are doing any sort of filtering or due diligence for us in this small business program. I mean, we do a lot of the underwriting very manually in terms of meeting with the entrepreneur, walking through the materials that they provide, the business plan that they provided. And that takes a little bit of time. But I would say that, from the time of application to the deployment of the capital, we shoot for 3 months. And that includes the 30-day fundraising period. So after a business is approved by the investment committee, they're posted on kiva.org, and they have up to 30 days to raise that capital target that they're shooting for, the goal that they have.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any question?
Look, David here again. So I just want to find out, is this a rewards-based crowdfunding, approach, or is strictly a different, model altogether?
Can you just explain what you mean by rewards-based?
Okay, so still back again on Indiegogo and how they run their model. It's definitely different from what you'd see with GoFundMe. So with Indiegogo, all kinds of products are displayed. Now, for anyone to donate to your campaign, you need to have in turn a pack, on display that you offer back for cash or donations that they give to you. Or for your business or for your product. So for instance, if I'm going to give you cash of any amount from 0 to whatever, the limit is, in return, I'll give you something, maybe a product, maybe that satisfies your need after the campaign is over, or something of that sort, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there is no reward incentive with Kiva. The lenders that come to our platform, again, are just looking for preservation of capital. There's no, there isn't any sort of return or reward incentive in terms of cash return or product or anything like that.
Okay, okay. And is it always 100% success rates? Well, I think you made a comment earlier, you know, about 80% success rates there, but with this 30 days period that the campaign will be run for, do you estimate that the targets, you know, will be met?
So the 90% repayment rate is different. That's sort of what we're targeting in terms of money coming back to lender accounts. Success rate in terms of fundraising on the platform with the SGBs and social enterprises that we've been working with has been really fantastic. And what we call it in Kiva is like an expiration rate. Like, so is it possible you could get to 30 days and not fully meet your goal? And historically, we have had a very, very low expiration rate. We find that lenders on the Kiva platform especially want to support small and growing businesses. And so I think we've had maybe one expiration in 4 years, but that was because of sort of extenuating circumstances. It wasn't necessarily because of investor demand or lender demand. So lender demand has remained pretty strong even throughout COVID, and we're finding that the loans that are posted on the website are almost fully funded all the time. There are some occasional expirations of a loan in which we would just repost it, and then it typically has no problem funding. But I think that's what you're asking about, and but it's definitely, you know, after 15 years of Kiva operating, the lender community is quite robust. I would imagine if I spoke to colleagues who were at Kiva 10 years ago, there were probably a lot more expirations.
Okay, so what I did earlier, you can check in chat. I think I put up a link to the campaign that we ran a year ago. So just to give you an idea of how we did, and to see how Kiva does measure up with Indiegogo as well. Okay.
Great, thanks, David.
Thanks, David. It's great. Thanks for all the question. One thing I also want to clarify that Joshua brought to my attention is that this is investment. I mean, the crowdfunding is an investment, which means the social enterprise are expected to return the money. And that's why all the due diligence and all that are taking place. And from what I can see here, I believe it's 0 interest rate, right? So it's more like a grant that you return. You are not paying interest on it, but you return the money eventually. One question I would like to ask Luke is that what is the cost of capital to you guys? I mean, of course, there's a cost to each of these. What's the average cost of capital, and how do you cover that cost of capital from your own end?
Yeah, so that's a little bit of what I was speaking to earlier around covering our costs, our programmatic costs. And so we are, and that's why we decided to introduce these affordable fees in certain jurisdictions. We have historically covered our costs through grant fundraising from grant-making organizations. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely operating costs within our program. It mostly is human capital, and a little bit of the technology. So, we are striving to become a more sustainable program through fee generation, fee revenue generation, and so those are the two ways we cover our cost of capital.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Luke. As in one last question before you wrap up the presentation, and if there's any other question from the audience, please be ready to ask. The question I want to ask is how do you kind of market the campaign? So if you launch a campaign now, let's say I launch a campaign to raise funds for my social enterprise, how do you kind of market that or promote that campaign? That is on one side. And then it's similar question like, what's the size of your community of lenders on your database? As in, so the first one is, how do you market it? Do you do Google ads and all that? And then what's the size of your own community?
Yeah, I'm ill-equipped to give you a great answer to this because I am not on our marketing team. But I do know that anytime a loan is posted, a campaign is posted, lenders receive a notification via their email if they have, I believe, if they have supported a loan or a campaign that fits a similar profile. So you can, as a lender on the Kiva platform, indicate interest areas. You can indicate country interests. So let's say Ghana and agriculture are your two areas of interest. You will receive a notification when a campaign is posted that meets that criteria. And it runs across the gamut in terms of many different variables that you can indicate you're interested in supporting. You can indicate small businesses, you can indicate women, I've mentioned refugees, you can indicate small shop owners or vendors. There are a multitude of different areas of interest you can indicate, and then you receive that notification. You also can receive a notification as a lender for loans that you have supported in the past that may be repeat loans. And so we do our best to kind of get current lenders to come back to us and to continue to use their account to lend out actively and as often as possible. We try I would say like new lender acquisition. I believe Google ads are used. I believe Kiva's media and marketing team do their best to reach out via all the socials. We also ask the entrepreneur or the field partner to spread the word via all of their networks. So as a small business who's coming to Kiva for a loan, and one of the things we ask is approximately what is your reach in terms of potential lenders to this loan? Do you have 100 potential lenders yourself? Do you have 50? Do you have 300? We want to understand, like, are you able to also spread this campaign through your networks? It's not really contingent on whether they will be approved for the loan, but we just like to have an understanding. And then we ask them, once the loan is live on kiva.org, let's get the word out and let's spread this throughout all of our networks.
Right, great. The other question, like, do you have idea of the size of subscribers that you have that have your
yeah. I think it's 3.5 million, and that might be historically over the last 15 years, but I would need to double check on that. I'm not sure what the number is at now, but
that's a pretty large size.
Yeah. I'm happy to share any materials following this workshop that will give you more concrete answers to any of these questions as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to cover in the short session. I know people have questions around if they want to join the campaign, or they want to join your platform to raise funds and all that. They will be reaching out to you. I think you said you were going to share your mail, so please, as in before you go, don't forget to do that. I don't know if there's any other thing you still want to cover, or we just want people to ask questions, as in. Does anyone have any last minute question?
Yeah, there's a lot to cover. I hope I did a good job of summarizing.
I mean,
what
you
we're
did.
doing here.
You did awesome. You did awesome. And thanks to all those who asked question. Professor Akim Akinwale also asked a question that, are you familiar with the management of waste tires? I believe he's asking if you have raised fund for management of waste tires. When I mean tire for vehicle, I believe. Yeah.
I'm not familiar. Personally, I'm not, but there could be a team member that I work with that is. There are about 20 investment managers that are covering different regions and field partners versus social enterprises. So it's possible that one of my colleagues have worked.
So I think the question was for someone on the chat group. So who actually mentioned about what they are doing in the waste industry?
Oh, listen, sorry. I just want to make sure I didn't miss out questions on the in the chat box. All right. So Luke, I'm just going to say you should give your last thought in 2 minutes, and then we'll do some closing from our end. And then like people have been asking the recording to be shared. Yes, we'll share the recording. We have a page for the series of the workshop. I will give more information about that. So Luke, your last thought.
Well, just to, I'm completely open to discussing with any of you offline after this workshop in regard to potential partnerships or referral relationships that we could have. I'd love to hear from social entrepreneurs if they, match and fit the criteria that we have here for this product. Yeah, would love to hear from you. You can reach out on the top left here is my email. Be glad to have a conversation more specifically around what you're doing.
All right. Thank you so much, Luke. I mean, it's been such a very great and inspiring session. I believe it's the same thing for all the participants, and I can see people saying thank you in the chat. I'm sure there will be a lot of people who will be reaching out to you after this session to connect and to learn more about your services and how they can be part of it. So thank you once again. Trust me, this is not going to be the last time you hear from us. It's going to bring you back for other sessions. So thank you once again. Thanks to Kiva for the amazing work you're doing all around the world. Super impressed with you.
Thank you, Olatunji. Appreciate it, and appreciate Andy. It's great to be a member.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you to all our participants for listening, for staying to the end, for asking questions, for being engaging. We deeply appreciate. Like we said earlier, this is part of series of workshop that we have virtual workshop to strengthen the ecosystem, to provide innovative ways by which our members can be able to meet their needs and continue to create a massive impact all around the world. So we have another session that is going to be coming up 3rd of December, and it's going to be focusing on the food security and nutrition. We realize that there is a threat of food security in the region, and so we are bringing Root Capital and the Partners in Food Solution. They are going to be coming to share with us some of the innovations that they've seen in their Greek value chain and some of the things that they see emerging. So if you have entrepreneurs that are in the Greek value chain, or you are a social, you are a capacity development organization that is supporting social enterprises or businesses in the Greek value chain, and you're looking for new ideas, new inspirations, want to learn about innovations that happen in that value chain, that will be a session for you to attend. And so that's going to be on the 3rd of December. Confidence is going to be sending you the information to register. And we have a page on our website, which I'm sure company is going to include in our follow-up email, where we have the recordings of all our past sessions. You can watch and then listen again to them. And if you have any question on any one of them or on the facilitator, you can get back to us and reach back to us. I believe, Joshua, that is going to be all that is going to be from our end. Just want to say thank you once again to all of you. Thank you, Luke. And our hope is that next year with the vaccines that are being developed, hopefully next year we can all be able to. I mean, I miss having in-person meeting, having interesting conversation with face-to-face with people. So I look forward to that, and please stay safe as you continue to make a great impact all around the world. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful rest of the week.
Thank you. Take care.